everyone. Welcome and good morning, good evening, good afternoon. How are you all going? Well, what interesting times we are witnessing right now. Wow. I'm just, sitting back going, okay, let's just see where everything falls. Um, yes. So I want to talk about that today, actually, in the sense that, if we look at the circumstances around us, um, it can take us out. And, it's like this is the one thing that you need to hang on to, that everything that God does is in us. It comes from inside to the outside. And that is why our inward development is more important than our outward circumstances. So, everything that's happening globally, everything that the news is saying and all that sort of stuff, it's like, yes, be aware of that, but also allow God to do what he wants to do in you in this season and in this time. Simply because the most important thing that I see happening is the awareness and the awakening of who God really is and who we are in him. So, regardless of what's happening around us in our circumstances or, what's happening globally, with government, everything like that, that is the fundamental key to hang on to. Who does God want to be for me in this situation and circumstance? And if we keep that in the forefront, we, number one, it won't allow us to be deceived because we stay truly connected. But two, we are, always in that heavenly mindset. We're always in that spiritual aspect of understanding what's happening in the spirit, not in the circumstances. So I have to say I'm one of these people that really embraces change. I like change. I like moving and growing with God in the fact that I know that he's making me a better person, in the sense of he's growing me from level to level, from insight, in wisdom, in revelation, in depths of relationship with him. So change helps us to grow, and growth is part of life. Anyone that doesn't want to grow or doesn't want to learn is really missing out. Um, and often, you know, because of the circumstances and the challenges there that we face, is what causes us to grow in being overcomers, how to stand strong, how to you know really come up and come into that governance. And when we really grab hold of God only. Now, this is a trick that often you know happens when we're moving in this world, is that we're looking for um we want things to happen, and then we start looking to man to create that to happen, and we take our eyes off God, and then often we get disappointed. And this is where part of our learnings, and we all do it, we all go through this, we all, oh wow, this is it, the doors are opening, I'm going to step into what I'm called to do or what is on my heart to do. And all of a sudden there's a very subtle shift that comes into our perspective, and then we start looking at the circumstances to fulfill what only God can fulfill. We all do it. And then we get disappointed because it hasn't happened the way we thought it should happen. So part of our journey at this stage is that we keep our eyes on God and we keep very close to him, and we keep, keep that perspective. And in that, we're encouraging one another, to grow in the power that we have within us. And the more and more I reflect, on life and the way the world is, that it's always trying to take our eyes off God and off who we are in him. There's so many distractions. There's so many, pitfalls. There's so many situations and circumstances that raise their head. We come under people's opinion, or we go into we're not good enough, or even sometimes we take ourselves out. Now, let me give you an example of that. When God gives you governance, this is really important, guys. When God gives you governance, in other words, he's giving you a position to stand in. Don't let the enemy take you out of that position. It's very subtle the way that this works, because all of a sudden it will, like, someone else will come along and you'll go, oh, I think they might do this better than me. And then we start to pull back. And this is where we've got to stand true to what God has asked us to do. Stay strong in that. Stay true to it. Hang on that conviction, and of knowing that you are there to bring what you are called to bring. So you're there to make a difference. Now, part of the spirit over the earth is often taking another person out to rise up into their position. We all know what that is. That's a hierarchical spirit that's always looking to take someone else out. Now, if you're a church person, you will have known this spirit as a Jezebel spirit. Oh, that's a Jezebel spirit operating. We actually know a lot about a Jezebel spirit, but we don't realize that she is just the fruit of something much bigger. So next week, I'm going to do a big, deep dive into this, so that you'll either love me or not, but it doesn't matter, because we need to know what we are up against. And part of what God's been talking to me about is that we too often place our attention on the little things, as in the little entities and the little, demons per se, or negative energy, rather than really looking to the source of where they're coming from. And part of what, I've been shown is it's time to chop off the head of the snake. And they're big words, as in, wow, in the sense of, okay, are we ready for this? Are we truly ready for this? Are we, as God's creation, ready to chop off the head of the snake? Are we prepared in our hearts to really go after this thing? Or do we feel intimidated by it? Do we feel that we're not equipped enough, or we don't know enough? Well, these are all the lies that we're told. That, oh, if we take that on, then we're, something's going to come back at us and all that sort of thing. But, you can stay hidden while you're doing these things. This is where we stay really close to God. This is where Psalm 91 is very, very powerful, because you stay hidden in him, and he's the one that does the battle, so to speak, because the battle is already won. We just need to start implementing the winning. We need to start implementing the victory of what has been done for us. instead of constantly coming out from, staying underneath the circumstances and situations. So this is where, God is. I was just talking to Jenny, there's a real sense of heaviness that everyone's feeling. And it's not just one, there's a real heaviness and there's a real oh, heck, what's going on? Because there is a lot of confusion and chaos, which the enemy really loves to create. Because when there's chaos, people don't know how to gather. They don't know how to stand because they are disorientated. They're not sure what's right, what's wrong, which is what we're experiencing globally. There's lots of questions. It's like, is he a good guy or isn't he a good guy? Where are they leading us? For myself, I personally am reflecting on, okay, this is how the government's always worked. They create a scenario where we're in crisis, and then they come along and present the solution. And this is where we've got to be really mindful and use a lot of wisdom with what we're watching at the moment. The one thing that I know that is so true is that we need to know who we are and the truth of the one true God, not all the other gods that are being represented to us and put on a plate that we've kind of partaken with. And this is where, understanding that the principalities and the powers and the world rulers is where we will become fully equipped and fully armed. And it's not what we've been taught as church or religious. It really is not. And I've spent a lot of time going down this little channel. And part of it, I just go, wow, my goodness, God. But at the same time, it's time for us to know what we're really dealing with. And it's always taking, the faith of in Revelations where, God says, shows us who we're really dealing with, and we go, what? That little thing? So we've got to take courage in that, in knowing that what we are up against is little and it has already been accomplished and it's already been dealt with. We just need to implement it into our life. So these are the things that we've been talking about for months now, that transition. Transition is about revelation and the process needed to make it real and experimental. We experience the revelation of who God is and the truth of his character. It's an encounter. It's not just words. It's not just hearsay. It's not just someone else's experience. It is meant to be experiential. We are meant to experience the very presence and the power of God and his incredible love. It's people can say, yes, God loves me, but do they know? Have they felt the love of God flood over them? Have they experienced it from the tip of their toes to the top of their head? And this is the shift that we're in, guys, that it's not just words, it's not just hearsay, but it's actually a revelation of truth that we are living in, that we know that whatever we speak to has to obey according to the will and purpose that God has placed on our life. These are the things that I love that you guys are with me every week, but I really trust the Spirit of God to touch your hearts, to divide between the spirit and the soul so that it brings that transformation and that transfiguration to your life. It brings the truth of who you are and how God made you to be, above all things and not underneath all things. how to manifest his purpose and his plan onto this earth through the very heart and love of God's power. Because too often in churches, people pray, which often, I've talked about this before, it tends to be a shopping list or a begging process. People often fast, where their fast is not God ordained. It's a hunger strike to make God move in what they want them to see happen. That's not how we move in the Spirit. It's not how the Spirit moves. If you are led by the Spirit to fast, that's fine. But when I look at the New Testament, I don't see Jesus fasting. I see him feasting. I see him celebrating because he knows who he is and he knows who God is in him. He stood up for what he knew was right, but he did love and love continuously, and he loved deeply. He never brought criticism. He never brought accusations. He never brought condemnation. He spoke life. And we need to speak life into this earth. We need to turn around the damage that's been done and start to bring life. And life that's full of abundance, life that's full of joy, life that's full of laughter and fun. And that's the heart of God for the earth. That's the heart of God for you. So the question is, when was the last time you had a really good belly laugh? When was the last time that you just sat, on the beach and had a great laugh, a great giggle, or where you let joy and gratitude flood over you? I find sometimes when, things things can get heavy, guys, my life is, not much more different than yours. It's just how we navigate what comes at us. There was a saying, do we run to God or do we run to our phone to complain? Do we ring a friend to go, oh my goodness, this is what's happening to me? Or do we take it to God? And it's okay to go, God, this is what's happening to me. Do you know this? And he just goes, yes. Okay, what are you going to do about it? He goes, well, what are we going to do about it? What needs to be shifted? We need to take responsibility for every day of our life. If you have a bad attitude, take responsibility for it. If you're not in a good headspace, take responsibility for it and then let it go and start thinking the way God would want you to think. Look at situations and circumstances the way that God would want you to look at them. So when our mind and heart is fully aligned with God, it's like wearing a bulletproof vest. It does protect you from adversary, from circumstances. And this is where the spirit man finds his protection in the perfect love of God. Nothing can come at you or get to you when you are absolutely cloaked with God's love, when you know that he is loved. And sometimes this can even be a journey, guys, of receiving his unconditional love. It's like being saturated in his presence, being infused with his wisdom and revelation. These are all words that talk about it happening on the inside of you, not head knowledge, but in your spirit, in your innermost being. And I'm sure some of you have witnessed this too. I've seen people try to deal with things and they're dealing with it from their head. Oh yeah, I've been told that I can cast out demons. Yeah, but just because you've been told it doesn't mean that you can do it. It needs to come from within your spirit. And in fact, I'll give you a scriptural reference for that, for those that want one, is that, the disciples were casting demons out, and then there was the sons of Sceva that couldn't. They tried to cast out using the name of Jesus, but the demons attacked them. Why? Because there was no relationship with God. There was no authority or power on their words. And I think this is part of the shift. We've got to start having words that have power and authority of them and releasing them into the earth. Not a hit and miss, not a wish list, but just knowing the very heart of God. His heart is that none should perish. But hitting people over the head with the Bible doesn't bring people into, into a relationship with him. It's manipulation. It's condemnation. It's shame. It's guilt. Let's just love one another into greater relationship with God, into higher revelation. Let's just love those around us and let them be drawn to the very light of God that emanates from your very being. Not because you tell them, but because you walk it. Too many people talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk. And we've seen that for centuries now. And we're coming into a time where that it's not going to wash. It's time for the biggest change that we've ever seen on this earth. And it can go two ways. The more of us that are bringing the very heart and love of God, the truth of who we are, the truth of who God is, the greater the change will be and the better it will be for all mankind. That's where we're at. That's the change that's happening. This is how we move forward. Grab onto the truth for you, the truth of who God is for you, and grow in that. Let God change you. If you get offended, it's really interesting. Offense always reveals the heart, because offense always occurs in the mind. It's contrary to what you believe or you've been programmed. And this is what's on the board right now. This is the change that's happening. We're growing into more and more of the power and the presence of God in all that we are, everything that we do, every day of our lives, every minute of the day. To bring his love and peace to the world that we're in right now. Is there any questions, guys?
Hi, Dottie, I've got a question.
Hello, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. What you were talking about earlier really resonated with me, particularly in as far as what other people are saying about you, and how to sort of not let that interfere with your purpose and the direction that you're going in. And I think for me personally, what sometimes happens, Dottie, is I can get a little bit vocal on social media.
Yeah.
Particularly with things that I'm passionate about. And then I'll get, you'll get the odd comment here and there from someone, and it used to affect me more a couple of years ago. It's something that I'm learning to sort of deal with and manage over time. And I think that the more you sort of understand what is happening, the less offense, as you just talked about, the less offense you won't be as offended, because you'll understand that there's a process occurring here, that it's really just a transaction between two people, and it's your choice how you interpret or whether or not you want to be offended, if that makes sense.
Yep. Look, remember their comments is it's a offer for you to go back and comment on it. So I've found, I have often found, sometimes I want to go in there and go, well, hang on a minute. And the spirit just tells me, don't say anything, just let it go. And I find I let a lot more go because it's an enticement. It's always, trying to get you to take the bait. Now, what often happens when you take the bait, it escalates. And then all of a sudden, a similar spirit, all these other similar spirits start jumping on board and all having a piece, and it blows out of proportion and it becomes, a mountain, which is detrimental to the other people that you are reaching. So, I don't buy into that. Jenny's had backlash on some of the things that I've said here. And I go, you know what, Jenny, I explain it to her, but I'm not explaining it to anybody else. Right?
Yeah.
Because I don't have to. Because the one thing that we need to remember is that we are all at different levels of truth and revelation. And it was really funny. I got this picture and I'm like, oh, I'm not going to share that, but I will. I give you an egg, a normal egg, right? We all know what an egg looks like. So that's an egg. The truth is that's an egg. But if you've never seen that egg in its original plan, and I put it on a plate and I serve it to you like as an omelette, and I tell you that's an egg, if you have no concept that an egg can be an omelette, you won't accept that as truth, will you?
No.
Right. So we are all at different levels of truth. And having these conversations, it's like there are levels of truth and revelations that I've experienced that I'm presenting. But if it doesn't sit with you, then just put it on the shelf for now. Because I'll guarantee you in a couple of months or a couple of years, that truth will then become palatable to you. It will resonate with you. So this is the growth that we're all in. Lots of people go, people don't know, why don't they understand what's happening in the world? Why are they still buying into all of it? Go, because they're not at that place to receive that truth yet. And this is where this is the importance of loving one another into truth, allowing each person to go through the growth at this pace that they are able to, or that God is guiding them into. That's the difference. For too long, it's like, everyone, you all need to be up here. What are you doing down there? Like, come on, get your act together. And this is what's been happening. It's not how it works. It's not even how God works in us. He doesn't yell at us going, come up here. Why aren't you up here yet?
100% agree, Dottie. And look, I really resonate with what you said, because I find that some people will say, Leanna, you're talking in riddles. And I'm like, well, in my mind, I'm not speaking in riddles. I'm just speaking whatever comes to me that is coming through me, I need to say. And then, so do you find that when people don't understand, because as you say, they're on a different part of the journey, they're like, you need to break that down for me. I don't understand what you're saying. You need to explain that to me. And I'm like, I don't even have the energy to do that. I just want to say what I need to say and move on. I'm not offending anyone. It's coming from a good place. I'm speaking positive words. But I find that people are just like, there's a riddle. And I'm like, well, in my mind, there's no riddle. It's just something that's coming through for me.
Yeah. So it's clear for you, but not clear to them.
Yes.
So, look, some people, I go, okay, let's break that down. And I take the time for them to to break it down, what they're not understanding. Because sometimes we can go back through it and break it down more simply that they can get it. Right. So, and this is, it's the same as when I do inner healing with people. Like, look, I had a young guy come to me, and God told me very clearly what the root issue was. And I said, look, this is the root issue. He goes, no, that's not it. Well, I spent an hour with that guy going around the mountain, because it was like, okay, he's not accepting it this way. And God just led me to show him. And we came back around the mountain to him saying, oh, the root issue is that. It took me an hour, what I got in a minute, but he wasn't ready to receive that as truth. So then I had to take the time to gently, go through things to him realize that was the root issue, and we dealt with it, and it changed his life. So sometimes you've got to be patient and walk people through things. But, online is not the great place to start addressing that sort of stuff. And you need to use wisdom who you're engaging with too, because they can be trolls. It can be a trap. And so you've got to discern that.
Definitely.
And we need to be discerning stuff more than ever right now. Thank you. So,
Thanks, Dottie.
Thanks, darling. Lisa and Hans.
Yeah, this was just about insults. In the early days, I always said, look, if you are clever, you don't want to insult people. If you are dumb, you cannot insult people.
Okay. I have to think about that one.
It is the smart people cannot insult you, and dumb people cannot insult you, and smart people won't try to insult you. It's just how you take it.
Okay. Well, you know what? The best thing is never be insulted. Just let it be water off a duck's back and let it roll away. Anybody else? I can't see every.
I think we need a whole training on how to let it roll off the back like like water on a duck's back.
Well, yes, we certainly do that. It gets easier, I can assure you, because you don't take things personally. That's the key. It really is. Don't take things personally. Don't take it as an insult or an assault. Just let it roll off. This is part of knowing who you are in God. And the key, okay, God's just told me the root issue of us feeling insulted is that we come from a place of not feeling worthy. So we take it as a personal attack of our being, of our integrity or our personality or our giftings, so it feels like they're telling us we're not good enough, and that's not true. So that's why it's very easy to, I find it very hard to, I find it very easy to let things just slide off my back. I let it go. I just hand it over to God as well. I go, yeah, okay. And I always, God, if there's any truth in it and I need to deal with it, let's deal with it. But if it's their issue, because remember, that's what people do, they're giving you their resume. They're showing you their insecurities. So they attack you, but they're telling you who they are. So, listening to people's words and conversations is really important, guys. If I meet someone new and they start giving me their resume of how good they are, or, how spiritual they are, I just go, okay, well, that's great, lovely. But I know that that's not the truth. Anyone that needs to feel that they've got to give you their resume on how good they are very insecure people. They're trying to measure up to something that they're not quite there yet. So we give them space to grow. We give them space to learn. We don't ditch them. We don't dismiss them. We just go, okay, yep, they've got growth. We've all got growth to do, but that's part of, you know, getting wisdom. And I have to say, part of getting older, you learn these things. Hans, another question?
More a follow-up comment on what you just said about when you would be feeling insulted or something like that. That ties back to me, at least, to what you said earlier. Be aware of your thoughts and grab a hold of them and put them in the divine light and check, okay, is this coming from source or not?
Yep.
Just I think what you said last week and maybe the week before.
Yep.
And that is how you can let go of it.
Yep. You just let it go. I acknowledge it. Even, you know, if it hurts. Some people say some really hurtful things and you go, wow, that really hurt. But I take it to God. I go, God, that really hurt. Why did that hurt so much? Is there truth in what they're saying? Is there something in me that still needs healing for that to hurt? And then deal with the processes. Guys, the one thing that you need to understand, God is more interested in, you know, releasing your potential and, you know, exposing the stuff that's hindering you from fulfilling what and who he's called you to be, the blueprint that's on your life. That he is so passionate about you. And often we've been taught, oh, he's more passionate about Jenny, or he's more passionate about, you know, Linda, or he's more passionate about Lisa. That's not the case. See, this is part of that division that we've been taught. This comes from the agenda of ego and also from, you know, needing to prove yourself to the world that you have worth. So when you bring it back to God being the most important person, God's opinion is the most important thing to me. So what he says goes in my life.
Yep.
So if that is my
Did you
focus,
put honey?
Yeah, for a little bit.
Leanna, can you just put yourself on mute,
Oh,
darling?
sorry, guys.
I'll have honey with that, please. And so, you know, we've got to make that the priority. That is our focus. If he's your focus, doesn't matter what happens around, because he is your strength. He's your protector. He's the one that stands up for you. I've seen God, you know, do things on my behalf that, and I don't want to use the word vengeance, but justification of things that have been done wrong to me that I want to justify. I want to take vengeance. And God's going, will you hand it to me? Will you release this to me? And I go, yep. And I've seen God, you know, cover my back and restore things to me that were stolen in a way that outdid what I would want to do or could do. That is the trust you need to have in him. That's the relationship you need to have with him. You know, and there were things that were said about me quite a few years ago that I'm going, there's not even a skerrick of truth in that. This person went around a small country town and said so many things about me that were not true. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going, God, this is my reputation. And he goes, will you trust me with your reputation? And I tell you, that was like, yep, okay, I will, because there was not one skerrick of truth. And you know what? The truth came out and that person was exposed and they ran out of town because they looked like absolute fools. Now, I wanted, my whole being wanted to stand up and go, this is not right. This is injustice, because I have a thing about injustice. And God's going, will you trust me? Will you keep your mouth shut? Will you just let me deal with this? Will you let me handle this? Okay, God. So sometimes, guys, that's what you got to do. And it's all about his incredible love for us. People don't understand how much he loves us, individually and corporately. His passion, his desire is totally for you 24/7, 7 days a week for the rest of your entire life. When we get hold of that, you are unshakable. You are unoffendable. You are always above every circumstance and situation. And it's a beautiful place to live, because you are truly living in the Spirit, in the heart of God, with the heart of God, surrounded by the heart of God. His character and his nature is for us. And this is why, religion has done such a good job in misrepresenting God as a God that's angry, that's God of judgment, a God of shame and condemnation and punishment. That is not who God is. And when we start to flip it, when we start to see the truth, worlds change, nations change, because we're coming out from under that bondage of lies. And that's what we're on the edge of. All righty. So, guys, I think no more questions. Leanne, are you still not on mute, darling? We can hear you having that drink. Too funny. Anyone else? Are we all traveling good today? All right, I just want to decree over everyone here right now. And then I've got to go, and I'll see you next week. But I just want to make a decree. So, God, we thank you that we are your creation. We thank you that your love supersedes anything that we could possibly think or comprehend. And by the Spirit of God, I release the in-depth revelation of experience of your love to fall on every person here. Let their hearts be so entwined with you. Let them know that they know how passionate you are for them, that you are always on the momentum of bringing process and program and, truth and wisdom and revelation, that you are reveal the lies and release that truth of your incredible goodness, your incredible kindness, your incredible love that is so unconditional that nothing can separate us from you. God, I thank you for this time that we've had together. Thank you that you are always with us. You are in our hearts, and we are in each other's hearts as you build the warriors of peace that are rising, the champions of heaven itself, to rise up on this earth, to have governance and to bring your heart and your dominion into every area by the power of your Spirit and the very representation of Jesus on the earth. Thank you, God. Thank you, guys.
Thank
you, Dottie.
you.
See you, Dot.
Thank you.
Bye.
That was great, Dottie. Much love. See you
Much
next
love.
week.
You
Thank
will.
you. Thank you.
Thanks, Dottie.
Hey, this next week.
Thank you, Dottie.